computer.
I think.
Sorry, audience. We were in the middle of laughing about something when I hit record. Reminiscing about Saturday morning cartoons, I guess.
Right.
Captain Planet was where it was at.
Yeah. He's going to take pollution down to 0.
He's our hero. I had a crush on Wheeler. Is it weird to have crushes on cartoons?
I think I've heard other people talk about
when you're a kid, let me be clear. When you're a kid, is it weird to have crushes on cartoons?
What if you're an adult?
I mean, we are adults.
No, there's like a whole genre of pornography that is like cartoons.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't remember what it's called.
Anime. But a lot of people like anime. We have a cousin who's really into anime. He tries to get me into it. Yeah. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's weird. I think it's kind of like your, like an innocent exposure maybe to whatever you're attracted to. Like, I don't know. I've heard, like, recently I heard somebody say they were attracted to Simba, the lion cub.
What? I can't even swallow. I'm laughing too hard. Well, okay. My cartoon crush was actually a man, but I think that it was Wheeler. I liked Wheeler on Captain Planet.
Wait.
The red.
Which one was he?
He was Fire.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But old Firecracker.
I just thought he was cool. Like, I don't think I even probably knew if I had. Well, no, I had my first crush when I was in first grade. I do remember.
Me too.
That's kind of young, isn't it?
I want to hear about it.
Is that kind of young to have a crush on somebody?
I mean, I did, so I'm gonna say no.
I did too. Yeah, my first crush was a boy who was in another. Don't say his name.
No. What if he listens to this podcast?
I'm pretty sure of it. But he was another first grade boy, and he was in the other classroom. And I knew that he was naughty and usually got in trouble, but I was attracted to him.
Oh, yeah.
I always had crushes on kind of like either the underdog or the bad boy. Yeah. That was kind of my MO. I think because I always felt a bit of an outsider. So maybe that's just being attracted. It wasn't even that he was like so good looking. Well, he was though, and he was tall. That was important because I was a beast. And so to have a boy that was close to my height was attractive. Yeah. But yeah, he was my first in first grade. He had blonde hair, and
mine had blonde hair too.
Yeah. But my first like TV or movie crush was Benny the Jet Rodriguez in The Sandlot.
Oh yeah.
Again, another bit of a bad boy, you know?
Do you know I had a crush on Michael Landon? I might have told you this recently.
Oh,
I don't remember.
Yeah.
He was as Little Joe in Bonanza.
Yeah, he was good looking, but he was a little out of my league. Like, he was an older man. At least Benny the Jet was like a teenager.
Yeah, I mean.
Did you like the Karate Kid? The original guy?
Yeah.
He was cute.
Pretty much any cute boy on TV I like. What about, do you remember JTT and Keegan, what was his name? Who's the guy with like
Andrew
the wavy hair?
Keegan. What happened to Andrew Keegan? Wasn't he in one of the Mighty Ducks?
What was he even in? Like he was just in Teen, what was that, Teen Beat or whatever? Tiger Beat? That magazine? Yeah. He was just like in that magazine. I don't even know that he was just cute. I don't know that he did anything. Devin Sawa. He's still around actually. I think he does
remember him.
Mm-hmm. They don't have, now there's just TikTok and TikTok dancers that people get crushes on, I think.
Maybe. Yeah. or like a Netflix original cast star.
Are you speaking from experience?
No, I'm just trying to get into the mind of like a Gen Z. Like your kids are very interested anytime I want to turn on real TV.
Yeah, I know. I
They're
noticed
like,
that too. I try to get them watching.
No, what are you doing?
We tried to get them to watch Alf the other day, and they were like, "What is this?" And I go, "It's Alf, alien life form, Alf." What? Like asking all these questions. I'm like, just forget it. Just forget it. No, they like they like watching. Well, this is a concerning thing though. I do notice with my kids because sometimes they have trouble discerning whether something is a script or if it's like a reality show, which is concerning a little bit to me. Because sometimes they think like a show that we watch on TV. I've had some of them ask like, is this really happening? And I'm like, no, this is like not YouTube.
Because
this is somebody wrote this.
Yeah, they're so inundated with YouTube.
Yeah,
you gotta think
really
about it.
weird.
Even the concept of reality TV is fairly new. Like I was never interested, even when like Survivor and the Amazing Race and what's the other one, Big Brother. Like even I never got into those. The only thing that I got into some, and we really weren't allowed to watch it, like we could watch it later in high school, but we never really had cable, I guess, was The Real World. That's the only one that I was kind of like, oh, this is cool. But other than that, I've never gotten into, I think that's a generational thing. Because I do think, well, I liked in college, I loved The Hills with Lauren Conrad. No? You never watched it? Did you watch the OC?
I watched it. I watched it. I didn't like it. I just, at that point, I felt like, you know what? I do like the Real Housewives. I do like that.
See, I've never gotten into them.
It's so, but none of them are really, I mean, they're all scripted to a degree.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm sure the producers in the background going, okay, now have a conversation with this guy. Okay, you say this because actually what you said in real life isn't really that great. So actually make it a bigger deal than it actually is.
That's like when you talk, that was really funny. That's in another episode, listeners. Sorry, this episode, we're just kind of having fun. We have no clear topic right now, but we're just having fun. So if this is your first time listening and you want something a little deeper, feel free to browse our other episodes. We usually try to, we usually start with some friendly banter, but I think especially, for the past 8 months, especially with COVID, with racism and all the different things happening in the world, even when we do fave or fail, we just kind of go there and go with it. And there are conversations that need to be had and we need to continue having. But I know both of us were kind of like, let's just shoot the breeze and have some fun. So on that same vein, you say you have a cat for me?
Yeah.
Well,
is that in the same vein as reality TV and celebrity crushes?
So wait, are we recording a reality show right now? No. No, I just wanted to hear. I didn't want to forget to ask you. Sorry, I was changing the topic. That's what I did there, viewers and listeners. I changed the topic abruptly. Is Kara okay with it? Yeah.
I'm good with it. Sometimes when I don't like talking about things anymore, I go, this is boring. Let's move on.
That's partly why I did it. Okay. It wasn't boring. It wasn't boring. I just didn't want to forget to ask you that.
So I have this really, really sweet one, and her fur is much softer than all the other ones. I can already tell she's going to be a luxury cat, and she has her name on it.
Well, I did see her on the video. It's funny because I have not been drawn to Rocky. Like, I held a couple of them when I was there about a month ago. And I held Rocky, but I knew that was going to be Isaiah's. He doesn't want to let Rocky go. He has super cool coloring.
Rocky is also very special. He is the biggest boy, but he's I think he might be a little delayed.
Developmentally delayed?
Yeah, a little bit, I think.
Oh.
He runs into stuff.
Oh.
And yeah.
Would you know
But he's very sweet.
Would you know if a cat was blind? Is he blind?
He looks at you, like if you wave stuff in front of him, he'll follow. So I don't think that's it. I just think there's some genetics going on there.
Okay.
So, I mean, these are cats with 6 toes or 7, depending on the cat. So.
What? You're not sharing all of this on your Instagram reels. But I know that the mom, I know that the mom was really young, and I know that it's possible that her mate was like a brother or cousin.
Or a dad. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not sure. It's the neighborhood stud muffin.
Yeah.
So anyway, the one that I would like to give you is just very sweet and demure, and I can tell she has a very gentle spirit and would be very cozy and cuddly. And she just has the coolest pattern of coloration on her.
She does look cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to check her out when I come. I'll probably be there in a couple weeks. I'll probably come.
Okay.
On account of some schoolwork too, you know. Well, I'll have to check her out. It's a girl.
I don't know. I think so. I go by the energy of the cat. They don't actually develop a penis, I think, until like maybe 3 or 4 months. I actually don't know if Gemma is a girl or a boy, but
it can also be hard to tell even with grown cats, I think, because like Gato, you couldn't really see his wee-wee.
Oh, okay.
Because of his fur. Because sometimes you just can't really see it, you know? Or maybe he just had a micro penis. He was a cool cat. That's all I know. I mean, I guess I always am drawn to those underdogs. I'm kidding. Not really.
Micro penises are in. So.
I don't even want to go down this conversation path, and I don't know what that means, but okay. I do have one question from a medical perspective. What constitutes micro?
I don't know.
And would it be okay? We have to check ourselves a little bit here, and this is why I'll say this.
Okay.
It would not be okay if we saw people posting about a woman's vagina size, and it would be problematic. So is it okay then all the exorbitant things or comedy we see about micro penises or about penises being big?
I can't take you seriously.
Why? Why can't you take me seriously? It's a serious question. Because guess what? We're all about women's rights and
making a joke. Didn't I say micro penises are big right now?
No, you said they're in right now.
Oh!
And I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like they're trending or what?
Micro penises are big right now.
Oh, they're big. What? I don't even.
Then end of conversation.
Okay. But what actually constitutes micro?
I don't know.
Okay. That'll be something I probably Google.
You can look it up if you want to do some research. I wouldn't recommend searching too far, but
I'm not really that interested. No offense to any viewers or listeners if that's your story or if that's your if that's your desire or inclination, no judgment here. I just don't think I'm going to research
I was trying to make a joke, but it could have been offensive. Sorry.
So I did have a question. Okay, so we both love the show Workaholics, which is absolutely ridiculous. You turned me on to it a while ago. But you know, you have the three main characters. I remember the question I wanted to ask you because I was watching an episode of it last night, and there's these three main characters. If you haven't seen it, it was on Comedy Central. They had like, I don't know, probably like 7 or 8 seasons. But it has Adam. What's his real name? In it's Bovine. No.
Yeah.
Andy Bovine. No.
Yeah.
I get them confused because they use their real names for their characters on the show. It's Blake Henderson, I think. The red curly hair guy who gets told he looks like Carrot Top, and Anders Holm. Yeah. So, and they've all been in other things, and they're comedians. But I wanted to ask you, if you had to choose one of the three, which would you say that I'm most like?
Oh.
Why are you laughing, and what comes to mind?
This is the hard.
You can only choose one, and it's who you think that I'm most like.
Well, if I'm going off of hair, only.
Just because I wore my hair curly today.
I think probably Anders.
Really? Yeah. Why do you say that? I would have thought you would have said Blake. Because he's
based on hair. Based on hair only. Okay. He's a little too unadventurous for you, I think. I think Anders has a level of professionalism, but also loves to rage and have fun.
Yeah, he can be wild. I'll take that as a compliment. Hands down, I don't even have to twitch or blink an eye when I think of you. It's Adam.
How can you say that? I mean, I'm kind of flattered, but I'm trying to think through.
I only do because of his spirit. So his character can actually be really nice when he wants to be. Like, you know, remember when he pretends, it's when you want to be nice. He pretends that he's engaged to Alice just to, like, appease her dad. He does all these nice things for her. Or when he trades places with Jillian and becomes her assistant, and he, like, wears women's clothes for the day.
I have a Blake spirit, I think. I would disagree with your assessment. Because
why Blake? Blake is weak to me. Blake is really funny, but he's a follower, and he kind of just does whatever Adam and Anders do.
Yeah, I guess.
I can see from the weirdness level and from the adventure stuff, but Adam isn't afraid of anything. I mean, that's also how I correlate it. He's really not afraid of anything.
That's true.
And he doesn't care what people think, and he's funny.
I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take it. But he's also like my worst.
It's whoever is most. It doesn't mean
he's like the worst.
Them, but
he's like the worst example of like a frat boy, a classic frat boy stereotype. So
I think
I'll take it, I guess.
Oh, excuse me. So you mentioned my hair.
Yeah.
I have a running sociological experiment, like I often do, and don't tell people.
Well, but you're telling people now.
I am. I'm revealing it. It's my own little experiment. These aren't.
Can I guess what it is?
Yeah.
Can I guess what it is?
These aren't real research people. I just like start to observe certain patterns and interactions, and then I start to realize, that's interesting. So when I say that, I don't mean I'm actually conducting research on this particular topic. It's just something that I've noticed being on video calls in the past 8 months, and also having that coincide with like retraining my curls and waves.
So let me guess. When you wear your hair curly, you have people open up to you more. You're more you seem more approachable. And when you wear it straight, you're like, I'm here to get shit done.
No, it actually is.
I took time to do my hair.
No, it's actually not even that deep. That you took it to a whole other level that I'll have to observe now. It's not even that deep. It's that it's predominantly, it's more race and ethnicity based. So the comments that I have from both people who are Black or Latino, Latinx, usually when I post a picture or I'm on video with my hair like this, I get compliments. And so I've done the same though with predominantly white groups of administrators and had people react the opposite way. I had one male superintendent go, "Holy cow, your hair takes up the whole screen." But then the same group, when I wore my hair super straight a couple weeks ago, a couple of the white ladies were like, "Oh, your hair looks so good."
That's because you got that straightening iron magic.
Just an observation. Just an observation. And
you don't want to know how big my natural hair gets. Ooh.
We get a lot of frizz. We have a lot of frizz.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's actually even.
It's not even that thick anymore.
Well, mine is really thick still, but I also have like, this is what happens, people. You get frizz. So even when I try to tame it,
it's on its way to dreads. It's on its way to being dreads. If you were to sleep in that for another 2 nights, if you had this, like this, and you didn't try to comb it out or anything, if you slept in that for 2 more nights, you would have dreadlocks.
You can't comb it out. If I comb this out right now,
wait.
It will.
You don't comb your hair?
No, I do when I wash it.
But not in between ever?
No. No. How would I comb through this? The brush literally just stops and it'll stick out and get stuck.
Oh.
Well, I'll tell you what would happen. If I comb my hair like it is right now, it'll get like this much wider, and then it just won't have wave and curl as much, and it'll look really crappy. It'll just look like a big fluff ball. At least right now it looks like waves and curls ball. But then if I straighten it and blow it out, it'll stay like that. Like the most recent time, I left it that way for like 9 days. I used a little dry shampoo like on
But doesn't it doesn't get like matted up and like, you know what I'm talking about?
I usually sleep, but I usually sleep like last night. I sleep with a towel thing. It's like a head wrap thing.
Oh, that's how. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then I use like a hydration curl refresher spray. So.
All right.
Okay, sorry. We're yawning.
We should change subject.
Yeah. Let's change subject. But yeah, that was just an interesting thing that I've been picking up on. But it's true, right? Like there's beauty bias, period. It's a thing that exists. Just like when people see a tall woman or a short woman, a woman with blonde or brunette. And that's why I think that we talk a lot about awareness. It's just so important because I don't take offense at any of the compliments or reactions or anything. It was just something interesting to know. Like we like things that we think are like us or agree with us. That's human nature.
But you also have things stored in your hair.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. I've had a beetle in there. I used to have to, I used to shake out my hair at the end of every day because I did landscaping, to pay my way through school. So I would shake it out every day. And sometimes I'd have like multiple little twigs, beetles,
leaves,
yeah.
piney.
Just, it's like a nest, yeah. And then one time at school, I got home. This was after high school, and somebody had sat in class and like placed multiple staples in my hair, and I never even knew it because I can't feel that. It's not like they were touching my head. My hair was sticking out. And so they were in there when I got home, and then I was kind of like embarrassed because I think I was a junior at the time because I was kind of like,
so who sat behind you? Did you ever figure out who did it?
I don't know.
I bet I have a few ideas.
What?
I bet I have a few ideas.
Yeah, I could have a few ideas, but I don't know. But that's also like, I feel like I'm a pretty resilient person, but it's those types of things, like that type of way when people treat you that way when you're younger, like that can actually be really damaging. If you think about it, that was actually really, really rude. Like just because you saw that I had,
yeah, because I'm sure they were back there. They were back there.
I was not
their friends.
Yeah, and my hair was not. It was not like most of the other girls in our school. Neither was my body. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. I started getting an app that I really like so far. It's called African Proverbs. So you get sent an African proverb every day on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
This is today's. One thread for the needle, one love for the heart. Oh. I don't know if I really understand that one.
I don't either. One thread for the needle. One what? To the heart?
One love for the heart.
I don't understand, but
I don't know what that means.
Good one.
Oh, they've been really insightful. Sorry, that was today's. I don't understand it. I'm sure it might make sense to other people. I don't know. That I don't know. We all interpret things differently. So I guess what's your real take on this experience with our mini series?
My real take?
Yeah, your real time, like we've been sharing an episode a day this week. So if you're just tuning in, we created a mini series called Losing My Religion. It has 7 episodes. And so we have been sharing that like an episode a day for last week.
You missed it.
What? Oh. Mini. What were your thoughts on that? Because when I went back and looked at all the episodes, so we didn't converse before we recorded them. And we'll put it in the show notes. If you didn't get a chance to watch it yet, we'll link the YouTube playlist so you can just binge watch all of it. But I thought it was so interesting that we both just, I don't know, we picked out completely different parts of the text that we read. What did you think about that?
I mean, it's exactly what we were going for, whether people pick up on it or not. I mean, I know we stated it several times when we were sharing it about our rationale behind why we did what we did the way we did it. But I knew going into it, I was going to pick up on the more emotional stuff from the text, or like maybe read into things more from an emotional standpoint, because that's how I see, like that's how I input from the world, is I guess through feeling and emotion. And I knew that you would have a much more like scholarly approach to it, as you often do with a lot of things, which is a good thing. It's just not a quality that I depend on reliable resources and use my words, but as far as like being able to identify objectives and stuff like that, those are more abstract concepts to me personally. So I knew that you were going to be going more into the meat of the story and the dynamics of the actual story. What I think I focused on and what I couldn't get my mind off of was the emotional implications and dynamics of the story. So it perfectly complemented each other, but also brought us back to the whole idea of we're seeing this trend, especially with people in the evangelical church, which we are formerly a part of. But we're seeing this trend of like just sort of following suit and stepping in line. And it's kind of been eye-opening and disturbing for us on many levels, because we now more than ever, we have resources to be able to figure things out and learn new things.
Right.
But we're stuck in this spot of where we've always been for the last 100 years or 50 years or however long, of a certain set of doctrine or belief that we just you either can't question because you're part of a body of believers that doesn't subscribe to anything else but what they believe and is not open to learning in a different way, or you just don't even know how to ask questions to go on that journey or to get yourself out of like we talk about what is the significance of these women in the Bible, why are they in there a limited amount of time, why don't we hear more about them, why is there only one book in the Bible that may have been written by a woman, but we're not sure of the author's name because of the status of women at the time. It would have been maybe inappropriate for them to put a woman's name on the scroll as the author of that. Why is that? So when you're looking outside of the box that you've been taught and told, it opens a whole new way of looking into your faith and like why you believe what you believe. Are my beliefs harmful to myself or another person? Are my beliefs harmful to an entire group of people? Where does this belief even stem from? Is it legitimate? Is it like something that God actually cares about?
Right.
Like all of those things have to go into our reasoning. So I think from our perspective, we are trying to minister to people in the way that we're trying to teach people the way that we've learned to think about things and we've learned to ask questions about things, not as being divisive, but as coming to terms with something outside of our knowing, I guess. Like we were talking about this before we actually hopped on and started recording, but like I find so much joy now in learning and using. You said something about you kind of have a childlike heart because you're always curious about stuff, always asking questions. Like you just seem well literally, and I do the same thing. I didn't used to do this, but I do now, where we have a question and we're like, I'm not just going to write it off or wait till I find a person to ask about it. I'm going to like look into it myself. What is the meaning of this? Why is this important? It can be anything. It doesn't have to be biblical or scripture related, just anything in general. I think a lot of the problem I'm seeing like with politics, well, probably always has been a politic problem, but we just like, we latch onto this one thing or this one side that we're like, yeah, let's go. This is what my group believes. But when you actually separate yourself out of that group, how much of that is real and how much of that is true to what you actually live out in your daily life, or what you say that you believe about the way you treat other people, how you take care of other people, how you love other people. How does that coincide with like maybe this dogma that's hanging out over here that you're saying you're part of?
Right.
Are you really thinking clearly as to, number one, how does that make you look as a person? How does that make you look as a child of God? Number two, and how does that look like to you when you have to live with yourself and look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day? do you feel good about the implications for what you're saying you believe? You know, so I don't know. It's been really important for me to break out of that in my own life, because so many of the things I would have used to have described myself as a conservative, evangelical, Republican, Christian. Those would have been my identifiers 5 years ago.
That's so interesting, because those would not have, even though our faith deconstruction journeys are different, those would not have been my identifiers.
Well, I think because it was really easy to fall into that because of, first of all,
of course, yeah, this is what
I grew up with. Right. Number one, that's an easy one. Check the box there. Not going to ruffle any feathers. Check the box there. That's always been, that's not, I guess it's not been important. I don't want to ever be the one to cause conflict, but I also am not one to stay silent if I feel strongly about something. So, but no, I would have identified with a lot of the principles of those groups of people, because I hadn't taken the time outside in my own brain to like really think about what it is that I believe about who I am in God, like who God created me to be.
Right.
So part of my departure from all of those things is not a departure from God, let me clarify, but actually drawing closer to God in the sense that I have my own unique purpose. And when I am in tune and in line with that unique and divine purpose in my life, that is what matters. That's what I'm here for, right? It's not to fit into some kind of little club, to not ruffle feathers. It's like, truly, what have I been gifted and tasked with to do in my lifetime?
Yeah, what's my purpose?
What's my purpose? So those, I try really hard right now to not put myself in some kind of a box, because every situation is different. And I think it's important for people to get out of the mindset that we always have to be this or that. We can be a myriad of different things and have a myriad of different expressions of beliefs at different times, and those will evolve and change, and we have to be good with that. That's necessary for us to progress as humans. You don't have to be a progressive to believe that we can't go around in the same way that we moved about 50 years ago. It just doesn't work for the culture that we live in today. And if you are still there, that's why you're feeling oppressed. That's why you're feeling like this heaviness, because you are stuck and everybody else has moved on. You know, I think that's like a really, it's a scary idea. It's really scary to be like, either you're seeking, in my experience, I feel like I'm one of the only ones in my circle doing this. So it's a little. But
you're also sample size of one. You always joke. Sorry, I had to slide that in because all my PhD geeky friends and I are always like, well, this is just a sample size of one, but.
True. That is true.
So, well, and that's the tricky part about when we're hearing about and experiencing in our own lives disagreements, people jumping to conclusions, people making assumptions without having a real conversation. Right. I think that it is, oh, there's somebody in my waiting room. Oh, no, it's somebody I have a meeting with, but he can actually come on and say hi in a minute. I want to ask him actually to share about a book he's reading, because it might be helpful for our conversation. It's Augie, my co-author.
Would he be okay with being on our podcast?
I don't know. We'll cut it out if he's not. But let me finish this thought. Hang on, before I admit him.
I don't know if I'm prepared to interact with another human right now.
What? Oh my goodness. Well, I would at least introduce you to him before you actually get off Zoom. But okay, to wrap us up quickly, I feel like that's the heart, like, of what you're saying, is that we have to become cognizant as humans that not everybody's going to think or feel or live the same exact way as you. And getting to a place where psychologically, if you're not okay with that, then okay, that's fine, but at least know why you're not okay with that. That's all that I ask, right? That's all that I seek with other people is what, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not okay with who I am as an individual, I can't do anything to change how you feel about me.
Right.
I can't, I don't control you. And I think that's the difference, is when people are in a place where they do feel like they control people, or that they have to be in a superiority position. That's where we're seeing so many divisions happen, whether it's in the church, whether it's race-based, whether it's politically based, because you think this person has to look and feel and sound and be exactly like you, and that's how you like them. Well, why? Why is that important for you?
Well, it goes back to this, what your original question is. How do I feel about the series? This is how I feel. Glass half full, glass half empty. We're two different people. We're going to look at it two different ways. And so,
right,
like, very, like, that's easy, right? It's a glass that has water. Easy. This is not so straightforward. And so when we're basing our lives off of something like this, we also can't ask that people fall in line. You would literally, like, there are two options here: glass half full or half empty. This thing has thousands of words, thousands of verses that can be interpreted different ways. And depending on the way the wind is blowing that day, the way your soul is shifting, you might pick that up and see something totally different.
Yeah. Or maybe God did a work in you. Maybe God did a work in you, or maybe you had this incredible experience with the Holy Spirit. Maybe you went through something traumatic, and so you see the world differently. You experience the world differently. You live differently. And when we discount that and we don't just interact and see that the person in front of me has value, they're made in the image of God, let me get to know who they are. Because I'm not as concerned. You know what? If you show me who you are, and that's a person that aligns their life with fulfilling God's purpose on earth, okay, then your actions, ideally, right? Not that we don't all make mistakes, we're all human, but ideally your actions, more so than not, are probably going to reflect a person who makes decisions based on what God calls them to do. That to me is a follower of God. Now, if you call yourself a Christian, you're a follower of Christ's teachings, I would expect that you know, absorb, and understand the red letters of the Bible. And that above anything else, if you call yourself a Christian and a follower of Christ. Those are his teachings. They're explicit. They are clear. And I believe that they were broad for a reason. He didn't sit there coming up with all these rules.
No, and we talked about, I think, in the final episode of our mini-series, he actually spoke in parables.
Yeah.
He made it so that it left room. If you look at a higher view of everything, he made it so that there could be multiple interpretations. And he never goes back and says plainly, like, I actually meant this to his disciples.
Right.
They each take something different away from what he says, and that's intentional.
Correct. Well, this has been one of our quicker episodes, maybe a little weird, but we like it that way. So, listeners, viewers, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Bye, sister.
Bye, sister.